Okay, so we will get started here, and we've got lots of great content here. It's going to be an interesting half hour. So I'm going to go around the room, our virtual room here at the Canadian Fractional and Interim Executive Summit. Charles Saleh is Principal Saleh and Company. Welcome, Charles. Thanks for being here. And why don't you talk about yourself, a little bit about what you do, how you fit into the Fractional and Interim Executives umbrella.
Sure. So I'm a CPA by trade, like most. Got my start in firm. After spending some time, I joined a few organizations, mainly specializing in more of the corporate finance and corporate development side of things. So taking an interest in valuations, taking an interest in M&A. I sort of developed my career that way. And most recently, over the last 4 years, I've been working as an M&A consultant. So on the fractional side, I'm, in a sense, an outsourced corporate development department. So I work with a lot of organizations, helping them develop the internal infrastructure for making acquisitions, evaluating portfolio investments, things of that nature. On the other hand as well, I do fractional CFO work. So a lot of the time I help out startups. I kind of lead them through the process in the event that they're going through different funding rounds, help them put together the different pitch decks and navigate the landscape associated with that. And that's basically what I've been doing on my own for the last 14 or 15 months, hence the Saleh and Company.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much for being here.
Good to be here.
Chris Henry is Executive Advisor and Virtual Interim CXO. Thanks, Chris. And why don't you talk a little bit about yourself? Because the X stands for a lot of different areas, right?
Yeah, the X really focuses on technology operations, digital. And my focus is to help businesses with their technology, digital, and really cybersecurity wellness. And so I take a wellness approach. And I have been doing it for about 8 years, and I've been almost 30 years in technology and digital to date. And so, for example, right now, I've had many clients over the last 8 years, and I started out in hotels and with an accounting firm. Right now, I have two accounting firms. Or actually, they were one, and then they're splitting apart into two. And I'm helping out two law firms, one with specific technology projects, a larger firm, and then a smaller firm with policy and procedure work, as well as looking for new systems, so sort of RFQs, RFPs as an executive consultant, virtual CIO, I call it, or virtual CISO, which is like fractional. I don't use the word fractional, I use the word virtual because I'm virtually there. When they need me, I'm virtually available. And it is virtual, it's usually not in person. And then I have another wellness group that I help too. And so I have multiple clients in different industries that I'm working on, even one as a co-working that started as an interim role, interim chief digital officer, and it evolved into an executive consultant role after a year once they hired their full-time person. So sort of fit in before they could find the full-time person.
Great. Well, thanks for being here. Kim Murray, thanks as well, Fractional CFO, Flexify Inc. What's Flexify? And thanks for being here.
Hi, thanks, Marc. So I am Kim Murray from Flexify. And basically, I opened my own company. I just started this wonderful fractional world in January. And so every day is an adventure for me. I was very, very grateful. I've got a full dance card, as you like, of multiple different clients and, acting as the fractional CFO across about 5 clients right now. And it's just been a journey of exploring consulting, how to juggle all of that, what each client's needs are. And, I've got vast experience across multiple industries, being a CA from South Africa, moving here. I've, worked in retail, travel, IT, professional services. And so I think, it's really helped me in this fractional CFO role to kind of, offer an operational kind of view to the business. So yeah, just really excited to be here and just to chat about my experience as a fractional CFO.
Terrific. Thanks, Kim. And I think we're having some possible audio and video issues. So we've lost your camera. So maybe you just want to do a quick close the browser, come back with another browser, and that might help fix it. Okay. But we've lost your picture here. Ron Stokker is Senior Advisor, Valitas Capital Partners.
Pretty close.
There we go, Kim. That's better. Thanks for being on, Ron. Did I pronounce it wrong? Valitas?
No,
Valitas?
very good. No, very good.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. It's nice to be
Thanks,
back.
Ron. Yeah.
So I've held a variety of executive roles in a number of different businesses, really focusing on the growth side and then moving more into operations as it became apparent weak processes were hindering growth. And so the last 10 years, I've been COO in 2 different owner-operated businesses. One was moving to a sale, and the other one was succession. I had a 5-year contract, 4 days a week, which was really quite nice, nothing like 52 long weekends. So I effectively retired at the end of December, and I moved into taking on fractional roles. I've taken on a board role and a senior advisory role with Valitas Capital Partners, which is a boutique M&A firm. So it fits perfectly.
Excellent.
I see you're still there, Kim and Charles.
I'm still here. Is yours
Me too.
crashed, Charles? Yeah.
Mine's crashed.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm here. Marc is frozen.
Okay.
Yeah, I think everyone.
Okay.
I'm here too.
All
Shall we continue?
right. So we've lost our moderator.
That's okay. I host other shows, so I can just go ahead and do this. Unless Marc's going to come in as a second Marc. We got 2 Marcs.
I say, Chris, ask a question.
That's right. So Charles, I'll ask a question. Okay, you're back, Marc. Marc's live.
we've got some technical issues. I think.
No worries.
Yes. Yeah, it seems like I've lost. Maybe it's my connection here after all. First time that's happened, I think. Can everybody hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yep, you're good. Okay, so Marc's gone. Yeah, Marc's an oversaturated network, and it's possible. I know someone who's a project manager for Rogers. If you're using Rogers, they're silently replacing all the neighborhoods in Toronto because all their routers are really old, and they're all knocking each other off the network. So if you can get off of Rogers just for a little while, they are improving it. If you're on the new Rogers Ignite stuff, you're probably fine, but that's really it for them to say. But just a heads up on that one. But Bell's good too, and all the other ones too. But that's not why we're here. So Charles, I was going to ask a question, which was, what's up with yourself? What do you find that was it one of the greatest challenges in being a fractional executive, and how did you overcome it?
You know, having somebody hand over their financials to you is a very personal thing, especially for a smaller business, right? Especially owner-operated businesses. So getting them to trust you via phone call or a virtual interface is definitely a big challenge versus a face-to-face, in the more traditional business-to-business standpoint. I think that's something that's been that's been sort of a hurdle or an obstacle over this period.
Yeah, beautiful. What about yourself, Kim?
Yeah, I think for me, just really finding a balance and being able to add value to each and every client sort of every day and finding a balance, as I said, sort of across those clients. And each one is different. Each one has an individual need. And so I guess for me, being so new to it it's figuring all of that out. But every day is a challenge, but it's absolutely, I'm just loving it.
That's so beautiful. And Ron, you're just newly started out, but what are the challenges you're facing that anything you had to overcome?
When you take on a COO role, whether it's full-time or on a fractional basis, it's really, you're starting to take over things that the owner has always done themselves, and those characteristics that made them successful now start to limit the business, but now you're proposing to make changes to things that they've built and done maybe for 25, 30 years, to take over leadership and some of the ownership for. So that whole letting go process, and even like on the financials, the trust piece, guys who've marched to, and gals who've marched to the beat of their own drum for an entire career, to let go and share.
Yeah, there can be a little bit of entrenchment. There can be a little bit of entitlement feeling, but it's also their child, it's their baby that they brought through their career, like you're saying, right? And so they're very attached to it. And it also depends, what I found, just to finish off my question to ourselves and then hand it back to Marc, is that it's really about the culture too. Typically, there are 3 types of cultures, right? There's autocratic, bureaucratic, and self-generative. And what happens is when the new people come into the workforce, it's a little bit more self-generative, but then they come up against an autocratic or bureaucratic sort of environment, or there's pockets of that in different places and different people work different ways. And so, yeah, it's fitting into that culture, into that team, and getting their trust and respect, and then sort of going in and touching their sacred cows. You have to partner, I think, a little bit and learn, what's that sacred cow? Why is it so sacred? And then figure that out, and then start to make suggestions. Unless you're just in there to make change, right? So yeah, that's the thing, is getting that finesse right of how to do that with the different personalities, relationships, and what are those things that you can touch or not touch, and why is it a certain way?
Yeah, I think you hit it, and so that's a challenge. But it's as a friend of mine at BDO said, the need is huge for these companies to get help. Unfortunately, because of these characteristics, the demand is quite small. So it's bridging that gap. Yeah. And oftentimes I've found the way to do that is through a trusted advisor to that owner.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Good.
Well, thanks for taking over there, Chris. You just step off, and a fantastic host there.
Thanks.
Sorry about that, folks. Technical issues do happen everywhere as we go along here. So my name is Marc Belaiche, president of TorontoJobs.ca. The panel: Chris Henry, executive advisor and virtual interim CXO. Kim Murray is fractional CFO at Flexify Inc. Charles Saleh is principal Saleh and Company, and Ron Stokker is senior advisor at Valitas Capital Partners. So let's talk about adaptability, since we just had to adapt and think on your feet and kind of go from there. So what's the last year taught you about having to be adaptable, and how does that impact a fractional executive? Charles?
I think, you're absolutely right. Adaptability has to be key. One of the things that sort of changed a lot with the work landscape as well is sort of the 9 to 5 workday. Right, the lines get a little bit blurred when everything's virtual, so the workday starts to spread a little bit further and further. I'm not sure if the rest of you had the same sort of result, but I think adapting to a less formal work hour, and more so finding the appropriate times to actually communicate with your clients as well. So I think that's one of the things, in addition to the overall virtual landscape, that really adaptability is key, especially during this pandemic.
Chris, how about yourself?
I think in terms of adaptability, it is juggling all the different roles. I find if you get more than 5, it gets a little hairy, and I see some people agree. And it's also about the type of work. So, like, I was brought into that one role as an interim. I'd actually applied to the COO role. Then I came in as interim chief digital officer, and then they promoted someone internally, and then I became executive consultant, and I was doing different larger scope digital transformation. Then I did some smaller scope stuff that I'm doing now, but there could be some larger scope later. So it's being agile in the way that I'm understanding the role. Is I really don't care what the title is. I'm just here to help, and just tell me what you need me to do, and I'll do it for you. That's what I do, right? But you have to be ready to do stuff that's very tactical, and you have to be ready to do stuff that's very strategic, and not just get stuck on one or the other, because it's not going to define you. It all defines you, because they're always saying, what did they do last for me that was great? And they want to keep calling you back, and you try to evolve your own practice so that I'm at a place now where they just keep calling me back because they want me to do work because I did a great job last time, which is where you want to get, but it maybe took 6 years, right? So it just depends.
Right. It's really, running your own business, whether you call it an interim or fractional or part-time or whatever it is. But what's helped you, Ron, over the years to land that opportunity?
I think one of the things is distinguishing a fractional role versus a consulting role or assignment. And this is now where the fractional executive is embedded in the business and is involved in the creation of initiatives, the implementation, which is often missing, the ongoing management, and then the refinement and continuous improvement. So there's quite a difference. The challenge is most business owners only have experience with consultants and not fractional executives.
Yeah. Kim, any other thing to add?
Yeah, I think Ron makes an important point. I think with the fractional CFO role, certainly it's important to slot in as part of that team so that people feel like they can rely on you, that you're that sounding board, that they can ask you, strategic questions and feel comfortable. So, if that's attending an SLT meeting or whatever that looks like. So I think it's, I think there's a big differentiation being you're actually part of the team versus sometimes a consultant just stays on the sideline.
Yeah, I've been a big promoter of fractional CFOs. The challenge for most small and medium-sized businesses is they'll have a finance manager who really is just tasked with, the bookkeeping functions, payroll, AP, AR, but the higher level of expertise isn't being applied, and yet the standards are still the same. So there's a real opportunity for a fractional CFO to come in and sort of put the whole finance and admin to bring it to a higher level, and then have the procedures and the personnel to manage the business, and then they can step back on a reduced basis or on a retained basis. But really important for small and medium-sized companies to take advantage of fractional CFOs.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So this question has come up before now, and it's come up through the course of this event as well. And that is, when should a fractional executive incorporate, or should they?
I have not, and I've heard both ends of the story. So I
can share my experience.
Sure.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So basically I incorporated with big goals. So the only reason I incorporated was simply because I would like to grow my company and be scalable. So essentially I went in really thinking big and I know I'll get there. So I just thought, I'm going to do the steps that I need to in order to become scalable at a rapid rate. So that was my only reason behind incorporating or not. Yeah.
So Kim, would you at some point perhaps drop the fractional name, so to speak, and just kind of build your business? And have other people who are also fractionals and you're putting them out, or do you see them as being your assistants? Or
yeah, a little bit of everything. So I'm slowly building what I call my bench. So building that network of other fractional CFOs who I can call upon, because once you get full, you actually reach a point where you actually saturated and you can't make more money, you can't do anything really. So for me, the scalability of this model is either you build a bench of CFOs, which I'm kind of working on, or you do what I call the full scope model of going, you bring a bookkeeper with you, and to Ron's point, you get the bookkeeping done well, and then you get the CFO at that much higher strategic level. So juggling with kind of a multiple ideas around this as I continue in my growth, but that's where the scalability for me seems to be coming into.
Okay. Anyone else on the incorporation versus non-incorporation topic?
I think if we're looking at, the fractional executive, really just to what extent that fractional is with respect to your earnings overall. I mean, if we're going to look at more of the technical aspect, what is the more beneficial structure for you tax-wise, right? If you're in a position where you're spending everything you get, and you're eating everything you get paid for, it doesn't necessarily make sense to incorporate. But if you're in a position where the growth is there, or at least expected, it does make more sense to put that corporation as a separate entity. And then at that point, you can be a little more strategic with your tax setup.
Great. I know this question always comes up about marketing because everybody wants to get leads and have perhaps a bit of an edge. Maybe if anyone wants to talk about they're using LinkedIn, what has worked maybe for them, maybe in something in your profile that has maybe triggered somebody to reach out, maybe an opportunity that's come up as a result of LinkedIn. Any comments, any good stories, success stories?
Yeah. Well, one of the things I've done is I've tuned my LinkedIn. I actually do it for others too. And so I've increased my traffic to 2 or 3 times over other people using SEO on LinkedIn, the way that you can tune it. And then I also do something called Owning the Podium that they did at Grant Thornton for practitioners, which is just have current events and stories always going on your profile so that people get to know who you are and they can explore those things. And then they get to know you and the sort of things that you can do, because sometimes we can't list all the 5 organizations, clients we're working for, but we can list the industries. But even then, we want to come out with relevant topics that will give people some information and maybe some help them out a bit, and then they'll want to actually contact you for a discussion. And I've done that on Instagram, or if you look at chrishenry.ca, I have a link tree like you do, and I have everything there. They can just book a free call with me for 30 minutes right off my LinkedIn or my Instagram, and there you go. So that's really the events in using that link tree.
Yeah,
excellent. Ron or Charles or Kim, anything to add?
Yeah, everything I've done over the years has been through network contacts, and in this case, as I mentioned earlier, I think when you were offline, I need to connect with individuals who have a close personal relationship with the owner. They'll understand the condition of the business and will take a recommendation from them.
Yeah. Kim or Charles, anything to add?
Yeah, so certainly I had a LinkedIn success from cold, not calling, but cold messaging, I guess you want to call it. And, just building a relationship slowly. And then we figured out there was an opportunity for us to both mutually benefit from something a service that I was offering. So it's scary, right, to cold message somebody. The worst that they can do is just not respond. But I think if you're personable and you actually outline a bit of a service and how that could work with a business versus, hi, I'm Kim, please LinkedIn with me. I think that kind of worked to my favor.
Mm-hmm. And what about rates? And without getting specifics, but the question comes up quite a bit about, do you charge hourly? Do you charge per day? Do you charge in advance? Do you charge as you fill them out? Timesheets, how many of you? Well, I don't know how comfortable you are. So whoever wants to tackle this one in terms of your suggestions. Now, maybe you don't necessarily need to share what you've done personally if you're not comfortable with that. But what would you suggest to somebody who may be starting out as a fractional and interim executive about what to charge, how to charge, hourly, by the day?
Yeah. I have a method for that I coach people on, and you take your 2,000 hours and figure out your salary. You divide it by 2,000, then you sort of figured out your hourly rate, but you're only going to be able to make that half the time, because half the time you're doing biz dev and half the time you're actually doing working time. And you want to try to get it to about 70% of the time that you're working and 30% you're doing biz dev. The thing is that if it's 70%, that number multiplied by 2,000 is not enough on an hourly basis. That also converts into a daily rate. You have to look at the industry. So some industries you're only going to make, let's just say, throw out a number, $100 an hour. Other industries you can make $225, $250 an hour. And there's a whole bunch in between. So it depends how specialized you are. The more specialized you are, the higher rate you can charge. If you're just doing bookkeeping, you're going to be down around $45 to $65 an hour, most likely. So you have to watch out what you're doing and try and match it up. That's my opinion.
Right.
Yeah, and I think it would depend on the size of the business, its profitability, the time commitment. If you're going to be engaged, as I was, 4 days a week for 5 years, that's one consideration. If it's 1 day a week, then you think about that. Depends on what the mandate is. It could be lots of things. I mean, I heard one guy said you just take your annual target, knock off 2 zeros, and there's your daily rate. It's lots of ways of getting at it.
That's a
Generally,
nice
the suggestion I heard was stay away from the hourly.
Charles, anything to add or a comment?
I mean, I agree. There's a lot of situations where staying away from the hourly rate is the best situation. But, in my experience, having an hourly rate that you can sort of associate with different tasks, and then you can quantify the number, what the damage is going to be at the end of the project, gives a little bit of comfort to the client, because they can kind of estimate what's coming towards them. So in addition to that, being from the M&A space, a lot of my fee structures are in combination with a contingent fee. So in the event there's a transaction, imminent transaction, what's the success fee associated with consummating that transaction successfully? So one portion of the project may be hourly, and then in combination with a contingent rate. So being able to give a definitive term of what the cost is going to be at the end of the day definitely provides comfort for some clients. In other situations where the project may be more long-term, it could be easy to work backwards and re-engineer, let's say, a monthly rate or a weekly rate, for example.
Yeah. In terms of payment, I just wanted to throw in there is that if it's $5K, I just get it all up front, like $5K or less. It's just what I do. And then, because I'm doing more project term work, if it's an ongoing thing, yeah, that's more different. Like Ron and Charles were speaking about, and then I'll figure out payment milestones depending upon what's going on.
Excellent. So we only have a couple minutes left here. Any other comments? Anything you want to bring up? Any questions you want to ask each other about interim executives, the fractional world? Anything you want to promo?
No, I think one of your questions was, how has COVID affected everybody?
Kim, you want to tackle
Certainly
that one?
For me, yeah, I think certainly for me, I think actually COVID oddly was a blessing, and it kind of was the impetus to take this plunge, right? And people are opening their minds up to the fractional world. They're opening their mind up to the remote world. And so for me, I think it honestly is driving business from a sort of fractional remote world. So oddly, I will say thank you to COVID and move along.
Well, there's always winners and not so much winners, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for me, for COVID, it's been about running the same. I've always worked from home. One of my clients a year ago, I had to go into the office, which was a new thing. And so I've been pretty much remote the whole time for about 6 years now. The one thing I did want to mention is that the power of partnering. So, for example, right now, one of my clients is a Schedule I bank, and I got brought in under the banner of a value-added reseller because they don't have my type of expertise in-house, but it's a bank, so they want to make sure it got taken care of properly. And so by partnering with some VARs or resellers or groups like Kim's group and that sort of thing, you can get referred in and get some clients that way rather than just hunting directly yourself.
Perfect. Great information. Thanks very much to all of you for sharing your wisdom and your experience. It's great to have you. I know people are taking away a lot of good information here. I want to thank everybody for coming to the Canadian Fractional and Interim Executive Summit. The event today is presented by TorontoJobs.ca and TorontoEntrepreneurs.ca, powered by Event Logic with a K.ca. Again, my name is Marc Belaiche, president of TorontoJobs.ca. I want to thank the panelists, Chris Henry, executive advisor and virtual interim CXO, Kim Murray, fractional CFO at Flexify Inc., Charles Saleh is principal at Saleh and Company, and Ron Stokker, senior advisor, Valitas Capital Partners. How did you like the event? Let us know. We'll send you a survey to complete within the next 24 hours or so. I want to thank all the speakers and the panelists and the team. There's a lot of people behind the scenes here, Alex, Rachel, Ann, Sandra, Sarah, Carla, to put this together. So I want to thank them as well. And also just want to thank, again, the sponsors, TorontoJobs.ca. If you have any staffing needs, feel free to email sales@TorontoJobs.ca, or you come across some opportunities. TorontoEntrepreneurs.ca. Most of you are business owners or entrepreneurs in one form or another, visit the website to find out about upcoming events, and then event logic with a K.ca if you'd like to sponsor, exhibit at, or speak an upcoming event. Visit the website. You can have your organization and services highlighted, their speaking opportunities, and more. And I want to, again, just reiterate some of the upcoming events that we have. I'm just going to post them in the chat. There's a lot of great, amazing events that are presented by TorontoJobs.ca. There's 12 to 15 virtual events done every month, including the Canadian Virtual Tax Conference that happens on Friday, May 28th. Talking about networking, you definitely want to network at some of these events, connect with people. There's the Canadian Virtual Lawyers Speed Networking event. So if you want to tap into the lawyers area, come to that. That's Thursday, June 3rd. On Wednesday, June 9th is the Canadian Virtual CPA PD Day. Not only do you get PD, but you also get a chance to network with CPAs. And then on Wednesday, June 16th is a Toronto Entrepreneurs Virtual Conference. And you can also stay connected with all of TorontoJobs.ca at this Linktree link, which I'm posting. And then again, if you want to sponsor, exhibit at, or speak at an upcoming event, email or visit event logic with a K.ca, and you can connect with me personally as well on LinkedIn. My link is on there. Feel free to send me a connection request. And you can also check out our TorontoJobs.ca YouTube channel as well. Lots of great videos on there, including what this one will be on as well. And we do tack on another 10 minutes at the end of this event. So you've got 10 more minutes to do some more networking, maybe speed networking, visit our expo and more. So check that out. And I want to thank everybody for coming again, and see you at the next event. Look forward to connecting with each of you and more people that were at this event today. So thanks very much. Stay safe.
Thank you, Marc. Good to meet you all.
Bye.
Thank you.